Stand by me.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Gary Burrows, in the studio.
Pleasure. How are you, Bianca?
Oh, very well, thank you.
That's good.
Thanks for coming in this afternoon.
Was it a surprise that I turned up?
Well, I'm allowed to say now. I'm allowed to say that. I was a bit worried, actually. The previous presenter, Heather, she said, "Do you have anyone?" I said, "Well, I do." But, I sent a message, and mystery man, he hasn't responded.
And I apologise about that.
But we booked it a few weeks ago.
We
We just
did.
wanted to check yesterday and today that you were coming, but you turned up, so it's all good.
Excellent.
I like it. I like surprises.
Well, here we go. And it's a lovely surprise, and I like the little studio. It's
Yeah.
fantastic, Bianca.
You didn't
Yeah.
drive past it like most people? They always
did
say,
drive
we
past
can't
it.
find you.
No, and I thought that it could be it. I'd never been here, although I know some of my friends have been here, like,
Quinton.
Johnny Vincent was
Oh,
here
yeah.
years ago, wasn't he? And did Peppo ever come down here? I'm not sure. I know a couple of them did.
Yeah,
Yeah, but no, I'd never been here myself.
yeah. And you know Bonnie and Quinton.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I know
Yeah.
just about all of those people, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well,
Having
every-
worked for APRA for so long.
yeah, exactly. So how long have you been doing this?
Playing,
Yeah, music.
maybe since I remember my first band, I was around about 12.
Okay.
And 12, 13, and it was a couple of kids from school. One played piano, the other played guitar, I played drums. And we played at the local church hall, which was just up the road, and they go, the next dance is a quick step. And we'd play anything, and they go, no, that's not a quick step. But gradually we learned. And so, through the many bands and players that I've been with, I've learned heaps from all those great players and guys who have taught me so much.
Yeah.
And eventually, after probably, I'm 71 now, so I've been playing for a long time. And after all those years of playing drums, I suddenly decided that I needed to play guitar, because I play guitar to write. And so we had a bit of a family, we had some trouble in the family where my wife died of bowel cancer and my daughter was killed 6 months later when a tree fell on her car.
Oh,
And it was
so
then I
sad.
decided that, you know what, I'm going to go out the front, start singing my songs instead of sitting up the back in the dark like a lot of drummers do, unfortunately.
Gee. The power of the human spirit for you to do that.
Yeah, and the friendship and the camaraderie that I had with musicians was certainly a help, because everyone gathered around me. And I worked for APRA at the time, which is the organisation that collects royalties for songwriters. And they were fantastic to me. They said, just go home and you come back when you're ready. So I was treated really fairly and nicely.
So how far back are we talking?
It's 20 years now
20
since
years.
that happened, yeah.
20 years. So music is wonderful, isn't it? For telling stories. And you said to me before that you're a songwriter, and I suppose that's a great avenue also to express yourself.
Oh, completely. It's certainly what helped me through those periods. I was able to talk about it, I was able to sing about it. And, some of the songs I wrote I couldn't sing for a couple of years because I couldn't manage, I would break up. But, every song has this little component about maybe Emily in particular, because she died suddenly, whereas Marianne had cancer, so we knew what was coming. But so, there's just a little bit there. And my close friends would recognise some of it. I'm not saying every song's got it, but there's a little hint sometimes that I'm remembering.
Mm.
Yeah.
So now you can and sing them. I mean, nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. Now they're songs. And
Right.
I write new songs all the time. So it's and sometimes there's some that I kind of not forget, but I can't play without doing what I'm doing today. Having a look at some of the references that I use when I have to go back and play songs from some time ago.
Well, that's right. I mean, gee, you must have a huge sort of set list, so you need to do that sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, when I decided to play guitar, we started a band called the Rustlers. And I used to go to the Barmah Country Music Festival as the APRA rep. They'd ask me to judge and maybe MC and do things. And Rocky, who ran it at the time, said, "You're always up here, Gary, and you say you're a muso, but you never play." And I said, "I'll tell you what I'll do, Rocky. Next time I come up, I'll come up with a band and I'll play all original stuff that I've written We won't play Your Cheating Heart like every other single band does.
Yeah.
Not that that's a crime, but I just wanted to go up there and do something different. But honestly, and they liked us, but it took us 5 years of going up there for them to say, we accept you and we'll now sing the songs back to you because we bought your records. So that's a lovely thing to happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
So where did you get your musical flavour from? Who influenced you?
Well, I guess in a funny way, my mum, because she used to be the piano player at Allen's many years ago when they sold pianos. So she used to demonstrate when people would come in and say, how does this music go? Mum would demonstrate. Not that we had a piano when we were younger, when I was younger, at home, but Mum always had lyrics in her head and was able to tell me the lyrics of songs, etc. And I always, look, the explosion obviously was the Beatles when they came along. And in June '64 when they were here, I was 14, so I was caught up in that stuff and I loved it so much. And strangely enough, my grandmother, when she saw them on TV, she said, you know, we're related to them. And I'm the biggest Beatle fan. I went, really? I didn't kind of believe her in a way. But she came from Liverpool. She was born in Liverpool in the 1890s. So I've been to Liverpool a couple of times and I met all the Quarrymen, which was John's first band, all the guys. Some have passed away now, unfortunately. And Julia, who was his half-sister, his uncle George, and Pete Shotton in particular, who was his best friend. And they replicated while I was there in one year, the meeting of John meets Paul. And on the field, as it's described in books and movies and the like, there's a field where they had the police dogs, etc. And then there's a little mound that goes down to another flat section where they were on the truck. And I said to Pete, is it true that Aunt Mimi, who looked after John, and Paul found him to be a bit drunk on the day? He said, oh no, he said, God, we were only like 18 or 19, we didn't have money for drink in those days. But I found out that Pete saw John through rose-coloured glasses, obviously, because when I came back to my office at APRA, I'd only been there a week, and this gentleman came in and he wanted a licence to use music. And he saw all the Beatle photos, and he said, oh, you're a Beatle fan? I said, yeah. He said, I was a copper in Liverpool, I arrested John Lennon for underage drinking. And that was a week after Pete said they didn't drink, which obviously wasn't right. I mean, all the kids that, especially that were in the art classes, would have been at the pub, Ye Crack or whatever it was called over there, and the Grapes. So I don't think the Grapes sold beer, but I'm not sure. But anyway, they obviously drank. Yeah.
A lot of stories.
Yeah.
Lot of stories.
Lots of good stories, lots of interesting people and lots of interesting stories.
Yeah.
So it turned out that I am a cousin of Lennon's in the end. We found out that my grandmother's auntie married Patrick Lennon, and they had a part of their family were the Furlongs, and the Furlongs had a country house in Edinburgh in Scotland where they all used to go on summer holidays. So that all tied in the end, we found out.
So
Yeah.
she was telling the truth.
She was telling the truth, yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it? I love family trees and history, where we come from.
Oh, it's amazing.
Who knows who we're related to if we really look? A lot of us don't have our family trees.
No.
I mean, who talks about it?
Exactly. And you know, people always say to me I'm a bit of a hoarder. And I'm not a hoarder in the sense that I just keep junk. But I keep compositions and poems and songs that I've written, they're all stacked somewhere. Because I think if no one had ever done that, would we be seeing all the poetry and all the songs that existed in the past? Would we be looking at our ancestors' photographs and going, God, look at that, he was my great-grandfather or whatever. So, whilst I'll accept the title of hoarder, it's more about hoarding guitars and instruments and stuff like that. But I think that's a good thing, especially for the kids that come along later and want to know about their ancestry.
Of course, it's important. It gives us a sense of purpose and meaning too. It just makes us feel differently when we know all this history about ourselves and our family.
Yeah,
all
absolutely.
Of that you were talking about.
Yeah, completely.
So you've got another song for us?
Yeah, I've got another song which is quite different for me, but it happened that I was with a guy called John O'Day, who's a great country artist, and we went to work in Victoria, and we both did solo gigs over there for an event that was raising money in the town. And he was always a great writer. I always loved the songs that he used to write because they used to paint pictures, and great lyrics and melodies. And I said to my partner at the time, God, I wish I should write a song like that. I don't write songs like that. And then on the way home, I had this idea for a song. And I wrote it in my head all the way home, which took a number of hours. And when I got home, I put my guitar to it and finished it. And so thanks to John O'Day, I've written a song that I normally wouldn't have written, but it's called A Dog with One Leg. So I'll play it for you now.
Very nice.
Okay, well, we'll see if it's nice or not, but it's good. I had a dog with one leg. I had a dog with one leg. When he lifted up to pee, he'd fall all over me. I had a dog with one leg. And I had a bird with one wing. I had a bird with one wing. When he'd get up off the ground, he'd just fly round and round and round. I had a bird with one wing. So if you think that life is treating you so bad, just remember all the good things that you've had. I had a horse with no name. I had a horse with no name. When he took off down the track, I couldn't call him back, 'cause I had a horse with no name. And I had a fish with one fin. I had a fish with one fin. I put him in the tank, but the poor old bugger sank. I had a fish with one fin. If you think that life is treating you so bad, just remember all the good things that you've had. And I had a girl with no heart. I had a girl with no heart. She thought everything was fine, but the heart she had was mine. I had a girl with no heart. And I had a dog with one leg. And I had a bird with one wing. I had a horse with no name. I had a fish with one fin. And I had a girl with no heart.
Beautiful. Just a quick ad break.
On a night out, just like this, take it from me. One punch can be deadly. Thrown in anger.
So before he gave you that advice on how to
Without
write,
gloves,
He didn't give me the advice. We worked together a number of times, and I just listened to what he used to do.
yeah.
takes a grunt to throw it.
He had a song about a ram in a dam, and the ram cost him so much money that when it looked like it was going to drown, he jumped in with his underpants on, pulled the ram out and gave it mouth to mouth. And just as he was doing that, the school bus went past on the road next to it and looked down at him. So he said, whatever you do, do not give mouth to mouth to a ram in your undies.
I'm sure they would have realised, but it
Oh,
would have been initially a bit of a...
Oh, it was an amazing story, and you just laugh your head off because of...
Oh my gosh. Good man to save that ram.
Absolutely. Well, it cost him a lot of money, so you need to.
Yeah. My gosh. Do you like animals?
Do I? I've got two lovely Labradoodles.
Labradoodle.
Yeah.
So they don't shed fur, do they?
No.
No. I've got a Labrador vacuuming every 3 days.
Yeah, I know.
Shakes, hairs everywhere.
I know. No, just the cross between that and the poodle seems to have stopped
Yeah,
that.
right. Yes,
And-
that's right, because the poodle.
And they've got the lovely nature of a Labrador and the smarts of a poodle, which
Yeah,
is,
yeah.
and they're very friendly.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Love them. Couldn't live without an animal in the house. The animals change the feeling of a home,
Oh, completely.
don't they?
Completely. I mean, they always love it when you come home. They're waiting at the door for me, and it's like, oh, lick, how you going? And there's a
We'll jump on. We can continue this on there.
okay.
Thank you for tuning in. The time is 5:28. We've got our special guest, Gary Burrows, in the studio. Welcome back.
Thank you, Bianca. Enjoying it very much.
Good. So
Good.
I've got a few messages here for you, but I won't read them out yet. We'll just keep on talking.
They want me to go home.
No, they like the good stories. Gary, you have lots of guitars, laugh out loud. That's Richard Rambler, Jan Murphy, Yay,
Oh,
Smiley
Jan.
Face and Purple Love Heart.
Yeah,
A
thank
few
you.
other things there,
Thank you, Jan.
people listening, so thanks for tuning in.
Cool.
But let's continue on from where we were talking just then in the break. We
Yeah.
were saying about dogs, we
Yeah.
love dogs, we've got 2 Labradoodles and
Yeah.
a Labrador,
Yeah.
and then you were going to say?
Oh no, well, we used to have German Shepherds before that, and then when I worked every day in an office, it was like, you know, so if you brushed past the German Shepherd, it looked
Yeah.
like you had a mohair suit on by the time you got there.
All the fur they...
But I think one of the stories is, one of these stories that they talk about dogs is if you locked your son and your dog in the boot for 4 or 5 hours, which one would be pleased to see you when you open the boot? It'd be the dog.
Who said that?
They're very forgiving.
Yeah, I know. Who said that saying?
Oh no, I don't know who said
you
it. I
heard
just picked
sorry.
it up. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
That's it. Oh my gosh. Well, that's the thing. I mean, when, you know, even when my husband comes home, well, straight for the dog. Hello, little boy. Hey, bee.
Yeah.
I'm the same.
Yeah.
Well, the dog's right there anyway. He runs to the door.
Yeah, yeah. And don't we talk different when we're talking to dogs?
It's all different.
It's like if people just heard us and not thinking we're talking to dogs, they go, oh, wow, they're weirdos.
I know. Well, I talk to my dog like he's a human. I said to my
Yeah.
husband, we better be careful because our neighbours might think there's something wrong with us. Like,
Yes.
they don't say anything. They're just, hello. But
No,
they
that's
talk
right.
like, would you like to go outside for a wee, Benny?
That's
Should we
right.
go now? Come
That's
on
right.
then. Do you want some food? Like, full conversations.
Yeah, yeah.
I
No,
mean,
that's exactly
yeah.
right. You talk to them like they're your kids, and you know, after a while, you actually understand them as well. I think the basic things you understand straight away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's also, I had one of those moments where I looked at the dog and I thought, of course they don't talk. I know, it sounds a bit weird what I'm going to say, but I thought, he's never uttered a word, and we communicate.
Yeah.
We understand each other.
Yeah.
But just that realisation, how sometimes you have those sort of
Yeah.
deep aha moments that
Absolutely.
we know it, but we think of it in a different way.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the eye contact with them and the expression on their face, and they have the way their eyebrows go up when they're kind of listening, and they get it. They get it a lot. There's a lovely movie called The Art of Racing in the Rain. I don't know. It sounds like it's a car race thing. It's a little bit about that, but the dog actually narrates the whole show, the whole movie.
Really?
And anyone who gets that movie, I can tell you, it's a bit of a tearjerker.
Would be.
But it's a beautiful story, and this dog, it shows you how dogs understand people and what they think. It shows you how they can tell when people are sick, etc., which they can do. So
They can smell it.
they can smell it. So again, it's an amazing story. The Art of Racing in the Rain, believe me, it's a lovely...
Where was it made? Australian, American?
I've got a feeling it's a Canadian movie. I just can't think who the actor was, but I nearly can. Sorry, it's just gone out of my
No,
head.
that's
But he's
fine.
a great actor, and
Yeah,
it's a
yeah.
beautiful story. Yeah.
But I think they've taught Labradors in the States to smell and sniff out cancer in
Yes,
humans. I did
yes.
hear that about a few years
Yeah, yeah.
ago.
They can. They can tell from your breath and from your
Sweat.
nose and saliva, etc. But they can't tell us, unfortunately, which maybe is a good thing in a way too.
Mm.
I wouldn't like him to be telling me I'm gone in another 2 years.
Yeah. And don't people have, dogs to tell when a child is going to have an epileptic fit or an adult is going to have an epileptic fit? That,
Yeah.
I don't know what they call the dogs. It's not a therapy dog, but it's something else. A dog
Yeah,
that, people have them with them. And
that's right.
just maybe even a minute before they're going to
Yes.
faint or
Yeah.
something happen,
They're
the
trained to know
dog
that.
puts
Yeah.
the paw on the leg and the person knows, okay, maybe I'll just go and lie down
Yeah.
now or be prepared.
Yeah, amazing.
Amazing.
They're just amazing dogs. And there are a whole lot more dogs around than people think. Just the other day there was a picture in our advertiser about a fox in the city. Well, for years I've been seeing fox around Athelston, coming out of people's driveways, etc. But you don't see them necessarily during the day. If you're driving at night, you'll often see them, but they're there.
Mm.
And in America, a lot of the dogs, they wondered why these dogs were coming into the train lines, because they would follow the train lines into the city. That's the way they knew how to get in. And they would come in at certain times because they knew that not so many people were there, but they dropped food, etc. And they were going to cemeteries on Saturday mornings and Sunday mornings, because on Fridays and Saturdays people would come in with their offerings and their flowers, of course, and the dogs would find the offerings.
Gee.
So
Yeah.
they're very clever.
Yeah, they are clever.
Yeah.
So Jan Murphy says called assistance dogs. That's right, of course. Thanks, Jan.
Yeah. Jan wanted me to do that dog with one leg for a long time, because I think she wants to play. She said, have you recorded it yet? No, I haven't. But Jan, you go ahead and play it.
Yeah, it's got a good melody. It's got a good sound to it.
Yeah.
It's catchy, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
catchy.
Well, I think so. And, whenever I've played it at country music festivals, everyone says, when I get there, well, are you going to play the dog song? And I go, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's been a bit of a favourite surprise for me, but it's fun.
But there's messages and layers in that song.
Yes. You picked it.
And I like that, because we can all relate to it, can't we?
Yeah, exactly.
Beautiful. Now, before we get into our next song, have you got some things you want to share with the listener about what's coming up?
Yes. Greg Hart, who does a whole lot of shows around town, he might know him, Johnny O'Keefe he does, and Neil Diamond, Bill Lennon, and what else does he do? The Big O, yep. But he and I joined last December. We joined our Lennon shows for the Gov to celebrate the 40th anniversary of Lennon's death. And it was just Lennon songs, and it was a great night. We had a terrific time, and so good that we've decided we'll do it every 9th of December. And it's the 9th of December here in Australia. In America it was the 8th. But the 9th was, the number 9 was very important to John and to Yoko. That's, you hear that in One After 909, number 9, all those things. And it was his birthday as well.
Yeah.
So we did that, and then we decided that we would like to still continue our relationship. So we thought we would do the 1965 and the 1966 albums of the Beatles, which is Rubber Soul and Revolver. We thought this is going to be fun. Well, 3 months down the track, we're still rehearsing this stuff. If anyone says to me Beatles songs are easy, please come with me and just see how hard they are, and how involved they are, because that's really when they stopped touring and they started to do more studio work. So a lot of it's quite difficult to replicate, but we've replicated it right down to the fact that Ringo tapped a box of matches during one of the songs.
Oh, we even do that.
And Trish, and so Greg's fantastic, a great singer, really knows all
Great
about
singer.
and knows all about the guitar antics of the Beatles and who played and who didn't play. And Trish, his wife, she actually conducted the choir at the last Rolling Stones concert here in Adelaide, and she teaches harmony. So when I say to her, I think I've nailed my harmony, Trish, she goes, let's hear it. No, Gary, that's not right.
Really?
So I never argue with her anymore. She's perfect, and she's just amazing. And the whole band's amazing. We've got seven sort of solid players in the band, and this time we're adding 3 brass section, a cello, a violin, a flugelhorn, and a guy who's playing Indian drums for the Indian content. So there's about 12 people on stage at some stages.
Can we give a shout out, say a few of their names?
Well, Trish, Greg, Graham's the keyboard player, Jim is the bass player, Simon the lead player, Ben the drummer, Brett plays trumpet. I can't remember the saxophone and because we've only met them a couple of times, just briefly
That's
as
why
well.
I thought just a few of them to
Yeah.
say. 'Cause I thought
Yeah,
that
all
would be
great
nice.
players, and they play in Greg's band regularly,
Mhm.
except for the people who are coming to add to this particular show. But he knows them well, so and the rehearsals have been amazing. I mean, I just love to sit and watch and hear it because it's just so good. And even though I'm a guitarist, I don't play guitar all the time. Sometimes I'm playing the cowbell or the tambourine or whatever. So we all mix to make the sound as authentic as we can of those two albums.
So you said you started off with drums. Are you, I don't know, do you play a little bit of drums now or not?
Yeah, I'm still the drummer in the Boys, and we play occasionally. And there's been some approaches to me to join the Masters Apprentices as the drummer.
Yes.
Now, it's not sort of local knowledge. They came to me and asked me, and Brian, the drummer, is one of my best friends. We spend a lot of time together. But Brian has got some issues that he wants to deal with, and so they said, look, Brian said, I want to give it a rest. I don't want to do it anymore. I've had enough. Will you? And then they called me and said, will you play drums? And I said, I'll play drums on the proviso that if Brian feels like he wants to come back at any time, I'll step aside and he comes back in, because we're mates. So it remains to be seen what's going to happen there, but I'm rehearsing with them at the moment. We've got a show coming up July 31st at the Bridgeway with Normie Rowe and the Masters. And the Beatles show, by the way, the Revolver and Rubber Soul album, is next Tuesday. So it's a Tuesday night at the Gov, and it starts about, you can get in at 7:30. We start about 8 and do the two albums, have a break in the middle and come back and pant and rough it out for the next album.
Gee, there's a bit going on.
There is a bit, and we were selling a house in between, and the guy didn't resolve it on the day he was supposed to. So that's another month. That's kept me on edge. So Marion and I have had a bit of a stressful time, and with all this extra stuff on top, it has been a bit of a headache, and hence why I've been a bit difficult to kind of contact at times.
No, it's all good. We're all busy. We've all got our lives and lots of other things going on. We all understand.
Yeah, but here we are.
Yeah. But here we are.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And enjoying it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Say hi to the guys from the Masters Apprentices. They've been on the show quite a few times actually.
Yeah.
Here and at the other station.
Yeah.
A great bunch of guys.
And they've all paired back to the original, as original as they can be now, of
They
course.
are.
Yeah.
Looks
And they're
like
sounding
two
great.
gentlemen.
Yeah.
The original.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I love them. I've always loved the band. So when they asked me, I said, "Is this April the 1st? Is this a joke?"
No.
And but Rick Harrison said, "No, we've had a meeting. We want to know if you want to play."
That's awesome.
So it was very good of them, and with Brian's blessing,
That's
of course, because we're drummers, so we kind of know what each other does. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Got another song?
Yeah, this is a song that comes from a long time ago, when my first wife Pam and I had friends who lived at Newry, and Pam came from Newry originally, and it happened that maybe 5 or 6 years ago, I happened to see them at Harndorf, and they were in a pub where they normally are. But and I went to see him, and I hadn't seen him for a long time. So I wrote this song called "Hello, Old Friend," which is about our relationship in those days. Hello, old friend, it's been a while. Isn't it sad how the years go by? I can't believe how time has flown, but it's sure good to see you again. Yes, I remember the fun that we had. We were like brothers when we were just lads. How could we know what fate had in store? But it's sure good to see you again. All around the world we chase our dreams, with no time to look back. And so it seems, daughters and lovers leaving just fade away. And out on the back porch, a beer in our hands, laughing at jokes and talking about our plans. Girls in the kitchen drinking red wine, but it's sure good to see you again. All around the world we chase our dreams with no time to look back. So it seems, daughters and lovers leave in the end, and we just fade away. But nothing can spoil the memories we share, good times and bad times, the souls we laid bare. Then there were days that led to despair, but it's sure good to see you again. Said all around the world, yeah, we chase our dreams with no time to look back. So it seems the daughters and lovers leave in the end, and we just fade away.
Thank you very much. Beautiful, gorgeous song.
Thank you.
Memories.
Yes,
That's what we're left with.
absolutely.
Feel a bit. Very nice. So we can follow you on Facebook?
You can follow me on Facebook. My webpage is still being built by Victor, who in fact manages the Masters Apprentices. And I had one just for the Russells at one stage, but now because I've got, the Oranges and Lennon show, which is the John Lennon tribute, the Boys, the Rustlers, and obviously the Masters coming up, I need to combine them all in one website.
Yeah.
So that we can just go and have a look at what's going on in those areas. So I'm in the middle of doing that at the moment, but for now, it's Facebook. And we do have, we have a Rustler show down here at the Cumbie Hotel on Saturday, 3 o'clock we start in the Cumbie at Semaphore here, and it's not called, is it called Glandor here? Or
No,
no?
Semaphore.
Oh, Semaphore, the Cumbie. So yeah.
But the Cumbie is Glandor.
It's Glandor.
Yeah.
So. And he's done a great job since he's taken over the
Yes.
pub. He's cleaned it up, made it nice, painted it.
Yes.
The toilets don't smell anymore, which is fantastic. And we enjoy playing there. It's fun. The Russells is we play some originals, but we play a whole lot of 60s stuff as well.
3 o'clock?
3 o'clock at the Cumbie.
What day did you say?
It's Saturday, this coming Saturday.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, we'll have to get down there.
Yeah.
Are we requesting songs or not? Or is it you've got a set playlist?
We've got a fairly set playlist,
Yeah.
but you'll find it's, if you can think of a 60s song, it's probably in the playlist somewhere. We have about 40, 45. We've put more than that, but during the COVID, we actually decided to kind of do away with the old set list and use completely new songs. So we learned a whole lot of new 60 songs, which we do now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. So how long for? 3 till what?
3 till 7, 4 hours.
4 hours.
Yeah. God. Don't know how I do it.
We've got one break or two. Or as many as you want.
No, I think we have 4 breaks. We have 3. We have a break between each set. And I've just got to take it a little bit easy because of the Beatles show coming up on Tuesday. I can't yell and scream. Yeah.
It's nice that way anyway. You can enjoy it too. You can sing a few songs, you can have a break, have a beer with someone will talk to you about the song.
Yeah.
you know, I'm sure people come up to you and talk about the songs. And
Yeah. And,
give you feedback.
and that's why this is so enjoyable. This is so different for me. I'm not a solo performer. You know, I don't do that. I've done a couple for friends and just in the middle of the COVID where I was desperate for a bit of money, but it's not me. But I find it easier to actually put my songs across when I'm doing it like this, because I can use the expressions that I would use. That it's a bit more difficult in a band when you're all kind of flailing away.
Mm.
Yeah.
Now, did we say we had another song? I couldn't remember if we said 3 or 4.
Oh, well, I can do as many as you like,
Can
but
we
I've
go
got
out?
another
Can
one.
we go out with a song?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've got a song called "Is It Ever Really Over?" And I'm sorry, these have all been a little bit ballady, but I do write rock and rolly
I like
songs as
them.
well. This song is, if you think of your life and you think of maybe past boyfriends or past relationships or past whatever, you might not see them anymore, but your history, it's never really over. It's always there. You did that. It's part of your life. And so this song is called "Is It Ever Really Over?" And that's exactly what it's about, you know, about past relationships, whether you see them or see them not. You know, it's part of your history, part of your makeup, part of your ilk. So this is what it's called. Is it ever really over? Will you finally say goodbye? Do you think that you will fall when the writing's on the wall? Do you ever sit and cry? Will you miss the one who loved you? Do you wish that you could say, sorry I was wrong, come back, it's been too long? Would you somehow find a way? I know that pride can sometimes make a fool of you, but there's a chance, remember, she might feel the same way too. You can tell her that you love her, you can ask her to come home. Don't be frightened to reveal what you mean, 'cause if it's real, she'll know she's not alone. I know that pride can sometimes make a fool of you, but there's a chance, remember, she might feel the same way too. You can ask her to forgive you. It's a chance you'll have to take. If you don't, you'll only lose. So be careful what you choose. Don't you make that one mistake. I'm telling you. I know that pride can sometimes make a fool of you, but there's a chance, remember, she might feel the same way too. Is it ever really over?
Thank you.
Hey.
Very nice. That's the next presenter.
How are you? Good man.
Very nice. So I'm glad you said that and sang that. Yeah, I
Good.
am. Because we have to accept everything,
Yeah,
right?
we do.
It's all part of us, like a quilt. You know that old sort of
Sure.
corny saying, you know, life's
Mm.
like a patch, you know, quilt.
Yeah.
A little bit here, a little bit there, that
Yeah.
colour, that pattern.
Yeah.
Some people want to erase their past and say, well, I didn't know him or I didn't know her and they're gone now.
Yeah.
No, you are so right. They're there forever. And in a different way.
Yeah, in a different way. And, you know, sometimes I might play these songs and my wife goes, oh, you're singing about your exes. I'm going, well, I'm not actually anymore. I'm singing about life.
Exactly.
You know, that experience gave me the opportunity to write that song, but really in the end, and a good songwriter doesn't try and make it too precise about a particular person, because you need to make other people feel that they've experienced it as well. That's
Yeah.
what makes it a song that's acceptable to people.
That's right. And it is interesting when we come across people from the past, isn't it?
Completely.
No, I'm
Completely.
just saying that because I saw someone from my past just the other day,
Yeah,
and I was like, wow, that's like, I almost had to think, you know, your memory forgets things.
yeah, yeah,
It packs it somewhere there, and then I'm like, oh yeah, that's right.
yeah. And
Interesting.
you know, you might have, I think also time and as we grow older, I mean, I've never been one to hold a grudge. I don't hold grudges.
Perfect.
I don't have exes or girlfriends that hate me or I hate, you know, we've drifted apart for a particular reason, which has been sensible to both of us. And it's just a way of life that makes it, well, for me, much easier and much more rewarding, you know, when I actually do meet people again. I'm able to go up and talk to them and go, how are you going? And see what's happening in their life. I love that. I love that feeling that you can be friends forever, really.
That's right. And having that love and openness in your heart, you know, there's different, I always say there's different types of love. You know,
Mm.
we're saying love for a human, just to have a caring heart.
Yeah,
And when you're like that, it radiates to people and they would feel that.
yeah,
And if there's anything there between different people, you know, people have a past, they have history, maybe there's certain things that people wish weren't said and done.
yeah.
But when there's that genuine, like, no grudges, let's move on, when we
Yeah.
know better, we do better. That was then, this is now, we're different people now.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, in the end,
no hard feelings, all good.
in the end, they don't realise sometimes you're the one that's holding the grudge, and so it hurts you more than it does them. So it's better to let it go. Just go, you know what? God, next time we'll be friends. It's no problem. It's over and done.
Next time, you mean next time in another life?
Well,
Do
that's, isn't that
you
interesting?
believe in that?
Have I
it's-
got time to tell you a story that you might enjoy?
Yeah, we have. We've got a couple minutes left.
Well, Emily, my daughter, who was killed at Harndorf when a tree fell on her car. I was at a country music festival and this girl alongside me said, Emily wants to know how Michael is. And I went, oh, that's a weird question to ask me. And I said, look, I don't know any particular Michael. There were 500 people at her funeral. I don't know a particular Michael that she was with. But that night, when I went back to my motel, I thought about it more, and I came back next day and I said to her, you don't mean Marco by any chance? And to her credit, she said, no, I heard Michael. Because Marco was the guy from Canada who was in the car with her when it happened. He was leaning into the back seat to throw his jumper into the back to get out when the tree came down, and he got knocked out through the back window. So he ran into the art gallery thinking that he'd passed. And the guy there said, no, you're alive. And he ran out, well, the curator ran out and sat with Emily while her spirit passed. And amazingly, he'd been with my cousin 2 weeks before in Sydney. My cousin was the curator of the Sydney Art Gallery, Barry Pearce. And so how these little circles happen, you just never know. Anyway, this girl said to me, look, I'm not really good at this, but I've got a friend who's a policewoman who does this for the police. And you can't go and ask her to do it for you or pay her. She doesn't do that. But because we're friends, I'm sure she'd like to talk to you to help you. So we went down and we had dinner together, and then she talked to me for 3 hours and told me things that I could not believe. Emily, through her, said to me, Dad, I saw you at the mansions one night in the city. I'm not sure you saw me, but us girls were being scallywags that night. And the girl said, yes, she was with Mandy and Libby. And I went, really? She didn't say M for Mary or Margaret or, you know, L for you know, Liz or something. It were the two girls she was with. So I listened to this for nearly an hour and a half. And then Emily said to me, Dad, I can see you frowning, that you can't understand that I can actually be in touch with you. So I went to, and she said, ask her a question. So I said to Emily, through this girl, who's Bronte? And this girl looked at me and she said, Emily's going to tell you in a way that only you'll understand. And she said, firstly, it's an animal. I said, yeah. She said, and Emily's telling me it's her little cattle dog. And I knew immediately this girl was in touch with Emily, because it wasn't a cattle dog at all. Bronte was Emily's horse that we adjusted on High Marsh Island. And there were only cows in the paddock, and Bronte would herd them into the corner and hold them there. So we called Bronte the little cattle dog for the way that he held the cows in the corner. We're the only ones that knew that, Emily and myself.
But sorry, who was this woman that was asking you this?
She was a policewoman who does this for the police, and so she graciously got me in touch with Emily. And the interesting thing about Emily saying I'm much closer than you think is that I talked to an Aboriginal elder not long after this, and he was telling me how he was teaching a young Aboriginal lad about the dream time, and they were at an outback station, and he said, watch that Cessna plane coming in, and when it stops in front of us I'm going to ask you a question. So it stopped, and the Aboriginal elder said to the young lad, can you see the propeller on that plane? Which obviously he could, it was still. He said, could you see it on the way in? He said, no, because it was spinning too fast as the plane was coming in. He said, that's where the dream time is. It's there, we just can't see it. It's a different vibration. And that meant so much to me after Emily speaking to me in that term, really. Yeah. And, you know, I've had other instances. I don't ask for Emily to be in touch with me, but occasionally I might say something and I always get an answer.
Really?
As unusual as it might be. People might think it's a coincidence. I don't anymore. I see that it's been directed at me in a way. Another time I was sitting where we used to sit, Emily and myself, in a park, and I said to myself, I wish you were here so I could hold you and hug you and tell you how much I love you. And when I looked up, there was a lady standing on the side of my car. And I walked over and she said, are you all right? And I said, oh no, I'm just been sitting here thinking about my daughter. And this lady grabbed me and hugged me for like 5 minutes and just comforted me.
Yeah, that's amazing. See, there's something there, and I think a lot of people are starting to become more aware of it because we do have these stories.
Lots of stories, and when you talk to people about it, some people are it doesn't matter if they don't believe, I don't care.
Exactly.
It's a comfort to me, and I believe, and look, I'm not that religious, but I'm very spiritual, and I do know there's something.
There is.
And lots of people open up when you tell them the story. They go, oh, you know what, I've had a similar experience, and so there's something out there.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing.
Yeah, pleasure.
Thank you so much. Any last words to our listener? And I will just give a shout out to the gentleman that is going to come on next. He's filling in for someone. He's so lovely. Can you just come in? I mean, it's all...
Where is he?
he wrote on the note. Can you bring the note? So cute. Look at what he wrote.
Keep going if
If
you
you
want.
just hold it up to the camera as well.
Oh, that's very lovely of
There you
you.
go.
He said, yeah, can I have it? Yeah, cheers.
Yeah.
Keep going if you want. Can you hold that up to the camera, please?
I
So
can.
this is,
Look
you
at
know,
that.
beautiful people like this, because he realised we were in the middle of a deep conversation, and Gary was saying something really important, and you wrote that, and that means a lot. It's special people like you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Big Masters fan I was.
Are you?
Yes.
Yes, well, I'm looking forward to playing with them. It's going to be...
I went to the reunion they had at Heaven.
Do you want,
yes.
Do you want to sit here and jump on that?
Yeah, I've got the footage of them at the Adelaide Oval,
Yeah.
which was fantastic footage, very clear. The sound is fantastic. I can watch Brian play drums most of the time, so I can sort of pick up what he's doing. But isn't it funny how you listen to these songs kind of nearly all my life, you know? And Jim used to sit in front of me at the football at Norwood. He loved Norwood. And, but, you know, so I've heard these songs, but when you go to learn them, you go, you know what, I didn't really know them. I recognise the songs, and I love the songs, but I didn't really know them as much as a musician has to know them to play them. So, yeah, that's incredible. And that's the same thing with the Beatles. It's like, yeah, I know those songs, God, I know all the words. Now play it, really? I'm not sure how that goes.
Well, John Lennon went in with Jim Keys when they were doing Because I Love You.
They went to the toilet together. Yes.
Right.
Because they both needed to go for a week. And you know the story about Jim Keys and his leather pants, he never wore undies.
Oh, didn't he?
No. So the boys tell me.
Oh, wow.
And if it's anything like the leathers that we used to wear in the boys around Australia, it would have been pretty... There was like moss growing out of ours in the end, I think. It was pretty green and awful, but we sweated every night. Wrung our socks out at the end of the gigs. Yeah.
The first one EP I brought was Elevator Driver, I think.
Written by Brian Cadd and Don Moody. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Brian Cadd was, and I'm the chairman of Support Act, by the way, where we raise money for, I've been at the meeting today, we raise money for people who've fallen on hard times so that we can get them back in the saddle again and earning money. And one of the lovely stories that impresses everybody is that there was a guy in New South Wales who lost his arm to cancer and he was a saxophone player. And we found a guy in Europe who made a saxophone for a one-armed player and brought it back to him. He's now out playing again. So that's the sort of thing we do. And Support Act has a show every third Thursday at the Highway Inn. And the money we raise goes into the trust account, which helps, and we've got chapters in every state. And so that money then helps put people, like I said, back in the saddle, earning a living again. We might pay their mortgage for a while, their electricity, their gas, their telephone bills, some medical bills. We do whatever we can to help them.
Support Act.
Support Act.
How can people support Act? Can we donate?
You can donate by going onto the website. The national website is just supportact.com.au, I think. But if you put Support Act, you'll find it. And you can donate, or you can come along to the luncheons. It's a luncheon. We always have a couple of bands playing. Sometimes we have someone we interview as well, and it's a great day.
That's only once a year, the luncheon, isn't it?
No, the luncheon's every third Thursday of the month.
Oh, that's that one with the musicians.
Yes.
Playing. Oh, okay.
Yep. It is.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Am I thinking of something else, or once a year something?
Oh, the once a year thing could be. Well, I'm talking about the local one. This is
Yeah.
South Australia. I'm talking about. The once a year thing is what the national body has.
Oh, okay.
Once a year they have an event. Yes, you're right.
Well, thank you very much. Let's we'll finish off so you can get in the chair. Thank you. Now you're filling in for Dave and Emma for Trash and Treasure. Thank you. Sorry, just give us your full name again.
Wayne Jack.
That's right, Wayne Jack, because we've only just met because he's been filling in. So thank you, Wayne.
That's
thank
right.
you.
You were nearly a footballer, Wayne Jackson.
Yes.
You were nearly him.
And Gary, thank you so much for coming
Pleasure.
in. Thank you very much.
That's my pleasure. Thank you for asking me.
You're welcome. All right, we're going to just put the news on here. It's a little bit late. I'm very, very sorry. Here it goes.
Yeah, I
Thank you.
had a Masters t-shirt and everything when I was younger.
Yeah.
They had all
That's
the
very cool.
cuttings out of Go set.
Oh, God,
So
yeah.
if you want to say goodbye here.
Me?
Yeah.
Goodbye, folks. I hope you've enjoyed this afternoon with Bianca and some of the stories I had to tell and some of the songs that I played. I love songwriting, and someone once said to me, "What do you love about songwriting?" And I said, "I'll be the first one to hear it," which is quite interesting, I think. And just the joy of songwriting as it develops. And most songwriters will tell you this, you know, as it develops, you kind of get this feeling there's something happening here, and then one bit of advice I can give to songwriters is never just accept your very first
You're right.
your first song. Always work on it, look back on it. If you find a word a bit hard to sing, try and find something that makes it much more fluent and that fits the meter better. So what I'm saying is always have a look and see if you can edit your songs to get them better, not just accept what you've done first up. So glad you had a good time. Thanks again to Bianca for having me here today. I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and anytime she wants me back, I'm absolutely on my way. Thanks,
Okay.
Bianca.
Thank you.
Thanks, mate.
Good on you, Wayne.
Thanks, buddy.
Cheers, man.
Cheers.
Got to get me head soon, I suppose.